Okay, we're ready now.
Ready.
You want to do it in English? English?
Let's try it in
Portuguese?
English.
English, perfect.
Let's try it.
Jorge, thank you for coming. It's very nice that you can do this podcast with me. I've been a fan of your work. We've known each other for quite some time now. Tell me a little bit about how you actually got into, let's start from the very ancient times.
Ancient times. It was after the pyramids, but still ancient. I'm quite ancient. I'm from Aveiro, where we are right now, Aveiro, Portugal. And my house was filled with music. My father played bass and guitar in bands, and my mother always sang in choirs. So this is our perfect English, and
better than my Portuguese.
Well, we'll end up doing a mixture.
The mic up a little bit,
like this. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it.
Okay.
It's very professional. Huh?
Yeah, guitarist. No. Oh, perfect. Now I hear myself. Okay, and there was always music around. My father, as I told you, my father played in bands, so his bandmates would come to the house, and there would be parties, and everyone was playing. Some of my oldest childhood memories, as young as I can remember, like my father playing guitar and my mother singing. I remember vividly Scarborough Fair by Simon & Garfunkel. So that's maybe Paul Simon was my first musical hero, actually. And so it was just natural that I started having music lessons at age 7. The flute, that horrible instrument that we all had to learn.
Us too, even in Kuwait.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It was a conspiracy.
Yeah. I'm certain of it. It's trying to make people hate music at an early age,
Or the flute, big industry. Big flute. So we went through that. Then I started on organ, those old organs with the 2 keyboards and the pedals.
Yeah.
And I was about 8, and I got very good at it, but I wanted to play guitar because all the records in the house were rock records. So was the Police and all those bands from the 80s and even the 70s, Led Zeppelin and the Who, and some Portuguese rock too, like Rui Veloso, Taxi, and also some more traditional Portuguese music. Sérgio Godinho, not traditional, but you get the point. So that was it. And so I wanted to play guitar, and I would see on TV they had those big concerts. I would see Pink Floyd and Eric Clapton and Queen, and I want to play this. So I started at 12. But actually, before I went to guitar, I took classical piano lessons because since I played organ, that was a natural step to go to piano. And in 2 months I couldn't do it because I was already playing Beatles songs with the bass pedals and the volume pedal. I was like Rick Wakeman, a sort of, and then perfect classical. I couldn't do it, so I just went for the guitar.
That's interesting because that's kind of my story as well.
Really?
I started off on classical piano, and you said you started at 13 years old.
Guitar 12, 13, 13, something like that.
Well, I started at around 15, and since I was a kid, I was playing. You played organ, but I played classical piano, and I understand what you mean with the whole, posture like that. Your back starts hurting, and and everything has to be perfect. But yeah,
I didn't even get to the part of the back pain because I understand that you have to have the perfect technique, but I was already playing some difficult things. So if you start from the beginning, it's one thing. But when you go back to the basics, we'll talk about it during this conversation, but I'm not very disciplined.
Yeah.
So
yeah, me neither.
And actually, I studied classical guitar later. and yeah, just took what I wanted to take out of it, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just up the gain a little bit on my voice. But yeah, so you started playing guitar at age 13, and how was that? Did you just pick it up, or did you have lessons?
I had lessons, yeah.
You had lessons, electric guitar lessons?
No, classical guitar.
Classical guitar.
Well, it was classical, like you just learned the first
C
chords,
major, G major.
all that. Some classical pieces actually, but there's I never know if I start. I say that I started taking lessons at 12, and I started playing at 14. Because I remember, and I tell this story a lot, for 2 years I had lessons, but there you go again. It didn't make sense to me. I want to play like David Gilmour or Brian May, and why am I playing these classical pieces? Which makes perfect sense. You have to learn it, of course. And I learned a lot of chords, those open position chords, and I couldn't play a song because my teacher, an amazing teacher, but he wouldn't teach me the songs that I wanted. So once I was in a birthday party of a friend, and started playing "Knocking on Heaven's Door," the Guns N' Roses version, and my friend who doesn't even play anymore is like, "Oh, this is G major." I was like, "What?" It's those chords that I can. Yeah. So I got home and like, "Oh, this is a song." Okay, so then in that summer I learned like 100 songs.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when it started.
You know
that
there's a video of Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't listen to much of Ed Sheeran's music, but there's like one video that is really funny because of how true it is, and he's like he picks up a guitar. He's like, I can play you all the songs in the world in just 4 chords, and he plays like C major, A minor, G major, and like whatever else. It's just the four main chords that you learn, and you can play any one of those songs, and it's this is really interesting. Did you because you had a classical teacher and you still wanted to play like those rock legends? Did you have a moment where you had some resistance with your professor?
No, he was not a classical teacher. He's a rock guitarist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's still playing us around.
So classical. He taught you classical guitar, but from a rock kind of perspective.
Yeah, right? It's more like I got in that school, and they have classical guitar. That's what they name it. But if I want to play chords or a Nirvana song, they will teach me that. So he was just trying to get me interested in the guitar. And then after that summer, because after those 2 years that I didn't practice anything because I was not motivated to practice. So one day before the lesson, I would just let's see what I can do for tomorrow to fool the teacher. And after 2 years, my father told me, "Look, I've been paying you lessons for 2 years. You don't play one song. You don't play any." Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's when that epiphany happened, and then the kid is playing something, and he got me in electric guitar lessons.
Yeah.
So and then everything changed.
Everything changed. Yeah. That's interesting because so why am I doing this podcast? Let's just establish this is because. I want to see how composers approach electric guitars and electric guitarists as musicians, and how electric guitarists approach compositions and composers, how that relationship happens. And my perspective is a classical music perspective, or música erudita, or Western art music, as I guess the proper academic way to say it. And I want to ask you, did you ever notice a stark difference between how obviously you noticed the freedom of playing electric guitar, and because you probably looked at those rock gods, right? Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, and you saw what they're doing is so vastly different than what you were doing, say, on the organ, right? And did you, in your current career, did you take anything from the organ lessons in the sense that because you were playing, I assume you're playing classical music on the organ, right?
No, No.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing. Oh, okay. I should have been more specific.
Yeah.
No, there was the method of a famous guy in Portugal. Everyone studied with his books. It was Eurico Cebolo. Have you heard of him?
No.
He was a guy. He died a few years ago. He had a music store in Porto, and I think a school also. And he did. Everyone in Portugal studied those books. He had like. It was called like the magical guitar, the magical organ, the magical flute, magical accordion. And it was really like a magical guitar. I've seen the books. They have the first chords and some easy songs and some scores. It was very, very. Actually, it worked. Everyone in Portugal studied those books. So when I was playing organ, it was called, of course, magical organ, which is a funny name. And they would have like Beatles songs, like I don't know, Guantanamera, popular songs. It was all popular. I can't remember if it had any actual classical arrangement. I don't think so. Maybe some really easy classical songs, like I don't know, the Ode to Joy, something like that. Those kinds of pieces, you know.
Yeah.
So I played.
Top.
I can tell. I played classical music, but with that approach. So
okay,
it was not a classical. I was 8 actually.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So okay, you're 13 years old. You start playing guitar. You start playing classical guitar. Yeah. And not
classical guitar was when I was 16 when I got in conservatory.
Okay. So 16 years old, you start playing classical guitar. What kind of pieces did you play?
Manuel Ponce, all those Carcassi, those, yeah.
Did you play Tárrega?
Tárrega, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So would I be correct in assuming that in that particular moment you were a classical guitarist?
Never.
No. Okay, tell me. Why?
It's very simple. So as I told you, at 14 I started playing rock guitar really seriously. I would practice all the time. I had lessons and I practiced all the time. That was my thing. At the time, you didn't have like jazz education or rock education. Nothing. There was only the classical conservatory. So everyone who was my age, who was playing, all my friends, we went to study classical music. Some of my friends got into it. We all came from rock. Everyone had their own rock band. Of course, yeah. And some of them fell in love with the classical guitar, and nowadays they're great classical guitarists with the careers. Others were more into jazz, and we can talk about it later. One of my friends was my first jazz teacher. And then there was me. Because I was a rock guitarist and I wanted to take that to this will be I will say this a lot during this conversation, because I told you I'm not very disciplined, also in the sense that I get bored really quick. So I'm not an expert in any style of music, because when I start digging, okay, this is enough, I want to try this, I want to try that. So that happened also in classical guitar. So my teacher would tell me all my what you call the grades.
Recitals, you mean?
No, the grades, like
grades.
From 0 to 20.
Notas,
yeah.
Great.
0 to 20. I always knew I was going to have to be 12, because I would practice the electric guitar all the time, and then tomorrow I have the exam.
Last minute,
enough. There was one time that I practiced a little more, and my teacher told me, okay, 13. But my teacher would be really frustrated because he knew I could play it. But
interesting. Yeah. So I guess it's better to say you were an electric guitarist, maybe a closeted electric guitarist forced to play classical guitar in certain moments. I
didn't even hide it. So my teachers knew it, and they was like, "Look, you could do this, but what can I do, right?"
Okay.
So
So your whole basically life was centered around rock with some increments of, I guess, certain elements of classicism. Okay.
Because I love it. Of course.
Did you? So is safe to assume that all your influences and all the information that you've taken in throughout your musical journey came specifically from, we could say, popular music and not
No. The thing, for example, my major issue with when I studied classical music was because I didn't feel I was getting the information in terms of why is this like this. So there's the score, and I play the score, great, but I want to know why these notes happen like this. Why is it doing this? And that was not part of it. That was not part of it. Now
just play what's written.
Yeah, which is great because I love playing it, but I needed more. I needed to understand what's happening, of course. And just to answer your question, I come from rock, and it's still my heart is in rock, but every kind of music can come inside, and because I love a lot of different things. Yeah, and there's some things I don't like at all, and it's good.
Yeah. Well, the reason I ask is that people try to systematize. There's I guess an attempt, a general attempt, and this push to systematize musical education from the point of view like, okay, you have jazz and then you have classical, and where do we put this person? Is it in jazz or classical? Because just from my experience working with classical musicians versus working with, say, jazz or rock people, it is a completely different experience. Like the approach from a composer's point of view, the approach is so different, and you can tell when you talk to someone who has had some classical training, or has been in that classical world and liked being in that classical world, and then later on maybe switched, like, I'll just try rock or something, I'll try jazz. You can clearly tell the difference between that person and someone who's just been rock, and which is something that I find really interesting, because from a compositional point of view, I think like a professional has to understand how to approach musicians like that, right? So that's why I'm trying to kind of like, okay, so are you doing classical or are you doing jazz? Like that's why I'm trying to kind of maybe put you in a box in a way, but
which makes sense, of course.
Makes sense, yeah. But you are making it very clear that from the very beginning, you're like, okay, I'm not disciplined, so I do whatever I want. And it shows. It's just, I find it very interesting because the electric guitar, right? So you're primarily electric guitarist.
Yeah.
So the electric guitar is generally a popular music instrument. You don't see electric guitar in orchestra. You don't see it in
For now. You're going to change that.
I hopefully I hope so, but we'll see in the future. And so it is not a classical instrument, but taking it from, just taking that instrument and, okay, imagine I'm a composer, I want to write something for the electric guitar. You write something for the electric guitar, but then you'll have a classical guitar guy playing the electric guitar, and the thing changes, like the instrument changes. It just becomes kind of a electromagnetically amplified classical guitar. So, and with the electric guitar, there are some elements which are very, I guess, idiomatic specifically for the electric guitar. Like every guitarist has at least one or two pedals, that they use. There's amps that all work differently. They react differently, like different kinds of pickups and all that.
Even the bendings.
Exactly, the bends and you can play like that lick where you're bending the note into the
same note,
same note on a different string. How would you write that on a score?
Yeah.
I mean, you could write it, but you have to write like, okay, bend this until you get to. It's better to look at
or you have to
tablature.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you try to cross migrate the electric guitar into classical music or Western art music, you cannot forget the baggage that the guitar has with it. And this baggage is basically the culture behind it, where the electric guitar has been used, how it was used, the market behind it, So from the reason I ask you these things is because I'm a composer and I'm kind of imagining like in a hypothetical situation, you and I are working together. I'm this classical composer and you're an electric guitarist. How would I, for example, if I were to write a piece that sounds like Stockhausen or something, or like, I don't know, Xenakis, how would you approach it? As someone who is a rock guitarist, someone who's, you know, fundamented in rock and maybe jazz fusion as well, you know.
I'll try to answer that, but first, what happened here?
What?
It came down again. So
it does
okay?
that. I think you can just
this.
just do that periodically. You're gonna have to do that. By the way, try the coffee.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's this one. This is yours. Yeah, it's green coffee. Sorry?
I drink it from here.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking at this.
No. This is for water. Try it.
So good.
You like it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's an interesting taste, huh?
So after decades of drinking Arabic coffee,
No, I mean, there's Arabic coffee. There's Arabica beans, right?
Oh,
This is the
okay,
same
okay.
beans, but this is from the Khalij, as
Really
we go,
good,
from
really
the Gulf of the Arabian Gulf or Persian Gulf. Where you know.
oh, thank you. This is really good.
You like it? I'll put some more later on if you want.
Later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, let's continue.
So, well, first of all, should we assume that the people listening to this doesn't know your work on this? Because that changes a lot. Because I will say it now, there's one before and after what you did.
Let's assume they do. Let's assume
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, my master's thesis is already on ResearchGate.
Okay.
The one that you were present
Yeah.
in. And it has something to do with that, but I don't want to advertise too much my PhD like goal.
I'm doing it, not you.
Yeah. Okay, do it.
So, yeah.
Just don't want anyone to steal it. That's my main.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So you can talk like very superficially.
Very
about
superficial.
it.
Yeah. The thing is, before I answer how I would approach, which I still don't know, that's why I'm doing this small talk. First of all, if as you said, I think, as far as I know, every piece with an electric guitar, classical or whatever piece with electric guitar, it's that approach. It's just a classical guitar with amplification, because the composer doesn't know
exactly
what to do with it. So every book has been written about the violin and every classical instrument. So a composer knows what to expect and what that instrument can do.
Yeah.
And if someone wrote a book like that on the electric guitar, hypothetically, like if I'm a composer, and I want an electric guitar. What can this instrument do? Because it would be easy. Okay, I think that's the way they do it. Like, okay, I'm a classical composer and I like Queen.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I love Brian May. So let's just get a guitarist who will play like Brian May, and I'll just write his notes.
Play like Brian May.
Play like Brian May. Okay. He will play. He won't play like Brian May. The composer will write melodies that sound
like Brian May.
Yeah. But he won't sound like Brian May. So, but if composer wants one specific sound from a violin, he will just write it down. He knows what to write. He knows that the player will know what to do. Yeah. So it happened to me. I played one or two pieces, orchestral pieces with guitar, and all the notes were only clean or heavy distortion, nothing else.
Yeah.
And some
what
dynamics.
Kind of clean, what kind of distortion, what kind of pickup,
what kind of pitch, edge of break. Of course, I know what he means when he says heavy distortion. You know, okay, it's a bridge pickup, full, and you know what to do. But there was nothing much more specific in that. So how would I approach it? I don't know how to answer that because I haven't seen the score. I don't know, but. If you ask me if I could help one composer you are a composer and you know nothing about the rock guitar, and you want to have the electric guitar on the piece, I will help you, showing you some records, some videos, explain to you why Jimi Hendrix was important, why Alan Holdsworth was important, why Eddie Van Halen was important, specifically what each one of them brought to the instrument. So but that would be my. But as a guitarist, I don't know. It depends on
you wouldn't want to have to do that every single time with a composer. Because,
no, of course not. Of course not. Oh, well, it would be interesting. But,
it'll be interesting, but not every time.
But your question was as a
rock guitarist, how would you
like you call me today to go play the piece in 1 week?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just read the score and play what's there. So
would you like? Let's get to specifics.
Yeah.
So, for example, I have there's a culmination. I don't write anything. The only thing I write on the score is the same thing you would write for a classical guitar, like forte piano. I don't know, ritenuto, all that stuff. That just classical stuff. And imagine there is a culmination part where there's something like that, right?
Yeah.
What would you do, like specifically in that moment, without just intuitively, like with the electric guitar specifically? What would you do with the pickups, electronics, the pedals, to achieve the right sound for a culmination?
Well, first of all, it's all in the hands. So so if I have enough headroom to play more aggressively, that's one thing. If that's not enough, if I get overwhelmed by the orchestra, there's boost pedals, there's you can do a big reverb and it sounds huge. Whatever you can do, it depends.
Yeah,
depends.
Because I'm the reason I'm asking is because when I wrote the piece, so I wrote a piece, a concerto for for augmented electric guitar and mixed ensemble. And there's moments in that piece where it's just a cat. There's moments in that piece where I want a particular sound from, a combination between a pedal and a pickup, a pickup position. So I have to kind of like on a harp, where harpists have to prepare a certain, they have to prepare their pedals, right? So if they want to play maybe a whole tone scale, just like that, okay, they have to prepare it, and the composer has to give time for the harpist to prepare. The same thing,
okay, I get it,
is with the pedals. So if there is like a moment where there's a culmination, and imagine, guitarist goes like, and then so there has somewhere in there he has to engage one pedal and disengage another pedal, okay, right? So I am assuming, would you take that into consideration, like everything
as a composer?
No, as a guitarist. So if you see like a culminatory moment, mm-hmm, with just dynamics, just the classical Italian terminology, nothing about pedals, nothing about pickups, nothing about string gauges, nothing about vibrato, nothing.
Okay.
And you have the tools that you use usually, boost pedals, distortion, whatever.
Yeah.
In a culminatory moment, how would you approach, just from a sonic perspective, not from necessarily too much of a playing perspective, but from a sound perspective,
Well, I would definitely use a volume pedal.
Volume pedal.
Oh yeah, of course. That would be like the most obvious.
The most obvious thing.
Because as you know, if you want to play really loud with a guitar, with an amplified guitar, it gets out of control. Mm-hmm. So if I need to play something really smooth and it's very fast, you don't have time to to just do it with the hands. So, mm-hmm, but this conversation can get very interesting because of technology. Because
that's why I'm leading this.
I know where you're going. Because you are the composer and you give me like 2 beats to go from a clean sound to a heavy distorted with chorus and flanger and delay and whatever, 3 or 4 effects.
Yeah.
If I'm with a traditional pedal board, you as a composer have to know that I need to press 4 pedals and I need like 2 bars for that.
Yeah.
If you know that I'm using a multi-effects that can engage all those pedals with one button, you can give me just half a beat. So that also changes, which is very interesting, because we just jumped from a composer knows about the classical guitar, then he learns that he can amplify the electric guitar, and that's it. But that was 6 years ago.
Exactly.
And now we're making this big jump, this big leap.
Yeah. And that leap has already been made too.
It's been made already.
There's and that's what's interesting is that.
And so sorry, one more thing, and there's one thing about having an amplifier on stage and playing with the orchestra, and it's another thing with playing with modeling and no amplifier on stage and just listening with the headphones, which is completely different, because now you don't have the limitation, whatever part of the piece where the guitar plays really loud, but the amplifier is right next to the flute, whatever. Not a very good example, but whatever instrument that it's going to affect. And if you know that there will be no big volume from the guitar on stage, it's different. So
if that just kind of like solidifies the whole potential, if someone were to do some kind of work, essentially explaining all these things, where to put a volume, where to put what kind of pedals to use, when to use it, like that kind of solidifies already the need and the necessity for fonte de informação, like a source of information.
Sorry for interrupting, because now your question is making more sense to me. How would I approach it? The way I feel when I play my music, I have no boundaries. I do whatever I want. But when I play someone else's music, I'm very conservative at the beginning. People have to ask me to do things, because I'm always afraid I will ruin your music. So I would just, if you tell me it's a heavy part or like a very loud part, I'll just put some distortion, but I won't put any effects, nothing, because I'm afraid it will ruin your vision, or that my delay will be out of sync with something. Okay, so I'll be very conservative. You have to tell me you want to hear that. But if you're a composer and you don't know nothing about that, I'll just play the clean sound.
So did you have any experiences like that?
Very, very. I play. What's the name of the piece? I think I told you about it. Come on. It was with Philharmonic.
Chaos Theory.
Chaos Theory, yeah. I played that like 2 or 3 times.
That piece has.
I played other things, but that one, yeah.
But you mentioned this is funny. I laughed because I know I've seen the score, at least parts of the score. Play like Eddie Van Halen here, play a heavy distortion here, which makes sense, but like a distortion on a neck pickup on a Stratocaster is different than distortion. And what kind of this, like, are we talking tube screamer, Boss, what are we talking, so and you've had already you've played James Bonney's you're the soloist, yeah interesting. And have you met James Bonney?
No.
Who'd you play it with?
Philharmónica Gafanhense. He's Henrique's orchestra.
Okay.
He was the one who invited me. Henrique Portuguese. And I love the experience, of course, but that's the thing. I didn't know exactly. It was just clean sound and distorted sound. I can't remember much more than that.
So, if would you enjoy yourself more, or not? That's not the right word, but would you feel comfortable if I were to give you a piece and every single aspect of that piece, down to what pedals are used, what type of guitar, everything, like if you want to, volume, go from 0 to 2,
mm-hmm.
everything is written. Would you prefer that, or would you prefer something like James Bonney?
Oh, I prefer that.
You prefer that?
Yeah. Because if I want to play my own way, I prefer to play my music. So I love the challenge of playing someone else's music. Okay,
nice.
so otherwise there would be no reason for me to enjoy it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to play someone else's music my way, I don't know. I don't find that very okay. It's one thing if I do a version, my own version of someone. Yeah. That's another thing. Yeah. My own arrangement. That's another thing. But if I'm playing with a composer, I want to take something out of the composer. I don't want to be.
Yeah.
That's the fun of it and the joy of it.
That's the classical approach.
It's a classical approach, yeah. But then there we go. If you're a good composer, you know that it makes sense to give the rock guitarist some space. Some space,
exactly.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's essentially kind of like what I was trying to get to, like that kind of difference between, because like you playing exactly what's written on the score is a very sort of traditional classical approach. You know, obviously if you get into Bach or I don't know, Lully or Rameau or something, there's like certain regional trills that you have to know, and there's a HIP, right, historically informed performers that study exactly, like if you want to do an improvisatory moment in a Bach piece, I mean you can, but also you have to like be trained specifically for that you have whole faculties of that, So
for example, if you talk about the chaos theory note that play like Eddie Van Halen, and if you know anything about Eddie Van Halen, you ask what, tapping or dive bombs or just his swinging, what are you talking about? He has a lot of things that are him, that are his approach. So but obviously someone who doesn't know much, it's playing with that cute thing, that's not the point. So
I mean, there's also like there's a level of fun that you get. Like this is just speaking from me as a composer. It's like there's a level of fun that is missing from the world of classical composition, and that is communication with the performer, right? I'm sorry, like
don't worry.
Annoying.
Don't worry. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, let me just hopefully it will stay. It's a very cheap stand, but yeah.
Your guitars.
Yeah.
All the money is there on the guitar.
Pretty much. Yeah, and but don't worry, I already ordered a Shure SM57, so it's gonna arrive like maybe shortly. But yeah, what was I saying?
The fun factor.
Yeah, the fun. So there's a fun that's a level of fun that's been kind of almost taken away, or maybe it never existed. I can't make up my mind about this, but it's communication with the performer. So, for example, in certain systems, educational system, or not just like classical music systems, where there's a society of composers or something, society of performers, and new pieces always get premiered, right? And how does this work? You write a piece, you write a string quartet, and you just send it to the quartet and they play it. Sometimes you don't even need to meet them. They just play it.
Yeah.
I hate that so much because it reduces the communication down to just paper, It reduces everything down. But at the same time, I kind of like it, I hate it from that aspect, but I also like it because of the level of professionalism that you have to get to in order to communicate your own ideas in such a way that even not talking to the musicians can get their get your idea out in the most authentic way. So
an orchestra playing Bach, there's no communication. Right?
Yeah. I mean, he's dead. Like
he's kind of hard to
say. And because exactly because they've been, a lot of orchestras have just been playing Bach and Mozart and Beethoven, and occasionally you play like the odd sort of Stockhausen maybe one day, but it's just constant, like Vivaldi, all that stuff. And these composers have been studied for years, decades, centuries, how to play that trill, how to play that melody, how to play that line. And they've gotten so used to, people have been, like performers have gotten so used to, okay, where's the score? The score is here. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
And for me, I do prefer a level of communication. But at the same time, you can't just rely on that communication, So if I'm writing for a string quartet, I automatically know that if a string quartet is going to be playing piano, I, from experience, know that they're going to play a little bit sul tasto, because that's just a thing that violin players do, So if you want to specify, like if you want to, specify sul tasto, like on piano, it's kind of redundant because they already play sul tasto. So small things like that, a composer already knows.
Yeah.
With electric guitar, none of that exists. None of that exists, and it's such a versatile instrument, right? And so, if I were to give you right now like a score, have you seen my score?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Like if you were to open it and I wouldn't be there, would you be able to approach it?
As far as I remember, yeah.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah. I have to look at it again, but...
So, like, that's kind of like the point of these podcasts and the general sort of communication with the performer, like how a performer approaches compositions is to kind of evade, or rather not have to rely constantly on communication with the performer. Even though I like that, but there should be some kind of system in place so that the composer doesn't have to so much rely on the performer when it comes to electric guitar, especially since the performer is typically a popular music performer, like rock.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
not.
Yeah. You wouldn't call it popular music?
No. I wouldn't say every electric guitarist is. There are some electric guitarists that are very disciplined and will do that for a living.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
and
they're really hard to come by. Those.
Yes, they are, because you're still on the. Who plays electric guitar? You either come from rock or from jazz, right? Yeah. And for me, I will say it. For me, rock and jazz are the same, in the sense that it's not written music. Well, jazz got some kind of credibility but it all starts orally. It all starts from tradition. So that's my point.
Yeah.
And so a rock guitarist or a jazz guitarist, it's not the main thing to read a score and play exactly what's in there.
Yeah.
So that's one of my points. If you want me to play with one of your pieces, one thing you'll have to know is that I won't read it perfectly the first time. I need time to put it to read it.
Yeah.
If as good as a reader as I could be, which I'm not. I'm kind of slow.
Stop. Come on.
Yeah, really. I'm not a very good sight reader.
Oh yeah, well, me neither. I mean, but that doesn't define if you're good.
No, of course, no. That's not. I'm not. Yeah. That's not my point. My point is, if I don't need to read every day, so I don't practice reading every day. If I need to play something really hard that's written, I'll get really good at it for 2 weeks, and then I'll do something else. And if you need me 1 year from now, I'll have to relearn everything again, because that's what I mean.
This is retention. Yeah,
retention, and not doing it every day. I'm not playing with an orchestra every day, so the thing just slips. Not trained at it. It's like our English. We don't speak English every day, so that's why we're
with Portuguese for me is the same.
That's why this podcast will be 5 hours, because we'll be thinking about the English word, and
would have been longer if it was in Portuguese.
So the thing is, you were complaining that there's not a lot of those guitarists. Yeah, because it's still not a thing. But if you go to those session guys from Los Angeles since the 70s or since the 60s, they all read perfectly.
Yeah.
And then you have to read perfectly too, and you're making pop music every day.
Yeah.
And you have to read charts and scores.
Yeah.
Perfectly. Yeah. So those people exist.
I know. They of course they exist, and I just kind of worry. How would you even sell the idea of a classical guitar of a rock guitarist wanting to play some kind of erudite music? You know, like how would you even sell that idea? Why would they want to do that? You know.
Well, if it becomes a thing, there will be people for it. I mean, if you tell me if there was a big industry of playing electric guitar with whatever, like pop art, well, there is. Every pop artist needs an electric guitarist, so people go towards that. And there's, well, how many virtuoso guitarists you know that are playing really crappy pop music? A lot. Yeah. So I think if I could make the same money doing serious music, okay, not serious, but you know what I mean,
like the classical
stuff or contemporary or whatever. Well, maybe some like the attention, they like to be in the pop world, and that's okay. But some are really serious musicians who can't make money any other way. And if there was an industry that's okay, you can do it as a living, for a living, or at least make something out of it. You work hard, but you get I would love to do it. So
you think you think that's a primary factor is monetary motivation, maybe?
Before I talk about money, just talk. It doesn't even exist, so the money isn't even there because it's not a thing. So it's like in the 20s or asking someone to be a jazz guitarist. No, it's not a thing. There's no jazz guitar. There's no rock guitar in the 30s. So then it started happening.
I mean that's the scary thing about it, is that, you know, like, will you even live to the day where you do see that? You know, I mean, who knows?
Well, Charlie Christian didn't know that one day George Benson would sell Pat Metheny would sell millions of records. He was just doing his thing. And all he did was, I'm not hearing myself in this big band. Let's just have an amplifier. So you never know what happens.
Maybe, you know, you really never know. And but that's like that is interesting that you would. First of all, you played Chaos Theory. I didn't know that. And that's kind of one of the, like, it is a very I guess a very famous concerto for electric guitar, you know, and it's very well written, but there is that moment of like criticism. I mean, it's not criticism, but it's academic criticism.
It's not even a criticism. He's a guitar player, right?
James Bonnet?
I think so. No,
I don't know. I think he is.
So.
I think he is.
So.
Yeah. There's performer's notes, you know, about like what kind of distortion he wants, and that's all cool. But and clearly he's an electric guitarist, so he kind of understands if he's an electric guitarist. Like, but if he is, that it's understandable.
I think so.
It's understandable. So like he knows the lingo. Like he knows that you know, there's like how amplifiers sound. The vibratos are not done like this, but they're done like this. They're bendy vibratos. Small things like that really add up to like what guitar playing is, what electric guitar playing is. And I guess from some point of view, I'm trying to like change that.
Yeah, but still on that piece, Chaos Theory. What I feel about it, it's kind of how many pieces like that exist for electric guitar? Very little. So if the guy does that, every criticism that we might give to it is like, but he did it. He did it.
No, it's not a criticism, not from the point of view it's like it sucks. No way.
No way. No,
it's like academic sort of like what could be better about it.
No, but my point is, it was a big leap just doing that.
Exactly.
So he started something. Okay, this can be done.
Yeah.
And when I was playing it, you played it too, right?
I mean, I didn't play it.
Okay, but you know it. Okay.
But I know it. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Apart from playing it and then studying it, it's at times seemed like an exercise, and he was having fun. Like, oh, this part is Alex Lifeson from Rush. Clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Eddie Van Halen. Oh, this is Metallica. And,
And there's even
and he's having fun with that. So yeah.
Have you heard of a composer called Steve Mackey?
Yeah.
You know Steve Mackey.
I know the
Steve or Stephen Mackey.
Stephen Mackey. I've heard the name, but I can't.
He does.
I don't know any piece.
He has
any
like
work.
awesome works for electric guitar, but in that sort of classical, contemporary way. He wrote a piece for I think it's called Physical Property. I think it's called Physical Property, if I'm not mistaken. It's for electric guitar and string quartet, and it's so you listen to it. It's very good. I'm not sure. Maybe it's not called Physical Property, but look up Stephen Mackey string quartet guitar.
I'll just write it down.
Okay. It's really good, and a very sort of classical approach. But then there's moments where like, dude, that's a guitarist, man. That's clearly a guitarist. The composer. I mean.
Okay.
Because there's moments where in that piece for a string quartet and the electric guitar, there's a quote of fucking what's it called? Thunderstruck. And I'm like, oh my god, there's no way you did that. But because it's so funny, because it's such a proper piece, you know, like very, you know, classical, like very experimental.
It's kind of a Zappa approach.
Like
Frank Zappa.
Thunderstruck. And I like this. I love it. It's so awesome. But you can clearly tell that that's a guitarist, you know. And that's kind of from my point of view. We're at a stage right now. If we were to kind of cross migrate the electric guitar to classical music, we're at the point where most composers who write for that are electric guitarists themselves.
Yeah,
that's kind of like.
And those kind of quotations like Thunderstruck or the ones I mentioned are like, okay, I love this music. I'm a classical composer, but I love rock. Yeah. And I'll try to bring some rock into it. Maybe people will accept it. And we're not at the point that, yes, just bring the electric guitar. Yeah. It's done in rock. So as I told you, my heart is in rock, but rock is done. Yeah, it is. There's some. It's morphing into something else, you know. Yeah, it has to because, but then people don't call it rock. I call it rock. Whatever if it's electronic, whatever. It's classification. That's like the number one issue, I guess, with musicologists. Yeah, and people ask, oh, the good old rock was it was in the 70s. Let's just move on. Let's move on. Jorge, let's just take a quick break. Okay, because the camera is gonna die. It's the Osmo Pocket 3 is gonna die. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back shortly. Oh yeah. All right. We're doing good in English. Pretty good, huh? Aí, peraí, café. Portanto. We're back live. We just had a break. Portuguese, English. Now let's continue. Yeah, let's go on. We're so good at English. Yeah, it's so weird the changing languages. I really hope the camera is good, but I'm always worried. Is everything being recorded? We're so pretty that any camera works. So space cameras are probably getting us. Yeah, like Elon Musk. But okay, so I want to now, so this is, I guess, the second half of the podcast. I want to maybe ask you about Tolstoy. Can you tell us a little bit, tell me, about... No, everyone watching. Millions. Yeah. Tolstoy. Yeah, Tolstoy is... it started kind of as... not a joke, but not a joke, of course, but it was not very serious at first. What happened? There was two moments why it happened. The three of us, me, Gabriel, the sax player, and João, the drummer, we were already playing in another band called Souk, which is a rock band. Souk. S-O, like the Arabic, yeah, the same. but with a Q in the end.
Suk.
Suk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can spell it better than.
Yeah, because there's like a letter.
The K and the Q, right?
So the Q represents the letter Qaf. So it's
Okay.
with the it's guttural. There's K and there's Suk.
So after 15 years, I finally know how to
Suk.
how to pronounce my own band. Okay, my own band's name. That's good.
Yeah.
So it's very fake.
No, come on.
So learn that. So we were playing in that band, and there was a moment when after our second record, the Suk, I can't.
I just say Suk.
I was just trying to say it, and we started going in the improvisational direction. So João and Gabriel were not on the original formation of Suk. It was more traditional, standard rock band.
Like bass, guitar, drums, and
No, bass guitar, drums, vocals, and horns. No horns.
Horns.
So there was a trombone and the saxophone, and he played tenor and baritone saxophone. Of course, not at the same time. There were only two of them. And when we, well, I'm kind of digressing, but I'll just try to be to the point. When we record the first record, one of the ideas was not being a traditional power trio with the vocals like Led Zeppelin or whatever, with the horns just doing something over it. No, we tried to get the horns to do the parts of the guitar, and the guitar doing more textures. And when they did the same thing, like heavy rock riffs with the guitar in unison with the horns. And when we started recording, we started doubling the horns, so it would really sound like a heavy guitar. And when we started playing live, we didn't have that, so that's when we brought in Gabriel to play saxophone. So two saxophones and a trombone, and that's when they started using effects on the horns, distortion, delays, whatever. So that's another thing. And we had then João came to replace our original drummer, and João is from the improvisation world. He's an improviser.
Yeah. Is it the same guy that played this concert?
Yeah. And he started his bass, his rock. As a kid, he was like, he wanted to be Dave Grohl or whatever. So that's where he comes from. Gabriel comes from classical music. That's the thing, which you wouldn't tell. You can tell it by the melodies, but not by his really violent approach to the instrument. So, and then when they came in the band, we started doing more improvisational things in the concerts, and so there would be open parts, and nobody knew where we were going. And that's one specific concert that we were playing, and there was a moment that was just drums, bass, guitar, and Gabriel improvising over it, and it went nuts, completely nuts. So after that show, the other sax player, the original sax player, Paul Gravat, he told, look, you should do a trio. I'm like, what? Yeah, you improvise really well together. We just did something. We're not thinking even about it. Just, okay, let's do something in front of these people. And at the same time, I bought a baritone guitar just for fun. And I bought that. It was a really that's another weird story. That not Fender, the Squier Jazzmaster baritone.
Oh,
you know that one?
Wait, the bass six?
It's
kind of bass 6?
That's the thing. It's not a bass 6. It's the same. It's the same neck as the bass 6, but with a Jazzmaster body. But they just tuned it A to A. So
wow.
It's not a bass 6. It's not a regular baritone guitar which is tuned to B or C. It's tuned to A. And I thought, well, if I'm going to buy a baritone guitar, it will be the lowest as I can get.
Yeah.
And when I started fooling around with it, I said, well, that trio that Paul, why not do it just a baritone guitar, saxophone and and drums.
Yeah.
So that's how it started, and we were not thinking about doing an improvisation band. In my mind, it would be just like a post-rock band, instrumental rock, with whatever we could do with it. I didn't have like a very specific thing in mind, but that's where I was going. And then we started rehearsing, and of course we didn't have songs. We just got together. We were just improvising. And the funny thing, that's how the band became like an improvisational band. We were like on the second rehearsal, and a friend of mine, well, actually Henrique, Portuguese, he was programming a space here in Aveiro, a live music space, and he called me on a Thursday or on a Friday. The band that was going to play there couldn't do it, and he asked me if I had something.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's go. So it's, look, we were doing our first or second rehearsal. Can we go and improvise? Oh, sure, let's go. Okay, let's go. But then Gabriel, someone called him for a very well-paid gig, and he had to do it. And we went, okay, let's just go baritone guitar and drums. And we did a 1 hour and 20 minutes of complete improvisation.
Wow.
In a disco, so it was a bar. Okay, it was a cool bar, but then like that, right after,
it's here in Aveiro.
In Aveiro, yeah, Salgado.
Wait, Sal,
yeah,
we know,
of course.
Yeah.
So, and we did that thing without, well, our set list was like just symbols and numbers and whatever, and people loved it. They were like, okay, we have a band. Let's imagine how it's going to work with the saxophone. Mm-hmm. So it just went from there. We did the first proper concert we did was in a festival, jazz festival in Aveiro. We had one written song, not written, just structure, and the melody, and one or two ideas that we had written down on the floor, just in case we didn't have good ideas during the improvising. Yeah. So it was a whole concert of improvisation, and people were there like, oh, we like this. And we're like, how do you like this? That was a big surprise for us, actually. It's because we're just having fun, the three of us. Yeah. And and actually the first record wasn't meant to happen. We're still trying to start the band.
What is it?
1805. Yeah, 1805. Which is based on the War and Peace, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we could go into that, or not.
That's dude. Until 5 a.m.
No. Let's not go there. Yeah. And a friend of ours who was I'll try to say it in English, like he did a master's in music production, and he wanted to try new things. He was just starting out. And he asked us to go and record something with him in a weekend. Yeah. And we went, okay, let's do it's good for a pre-production for us. We have 3 songs, and then we'll just see what happens. Yeah. And after that weekend, we had a record. We just improvised 4 hours, and this is good with this. And then, okay, that's how we went. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so. Are most of your because I know you had 3 albums. So 1805. Second one is
Extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire. And the third one has you come up with weird names. Like I actually had I've listened to them. That's the thing.
Synesthesia?
Yeah. No.
Okay. No, Palingenesis, the new one. Okay. Yeah. There's Palingenesis, which is a new record. We'll get to that too. But last year, 2023, there was another one called Synesthesia.
I know. I've listened to it.
Which is do you know Arda Recorders, a studio in Porto? It's a very good recording studio in Porto. It's kind of recent, like 5 years.
Oh no, that I
okay.
If it's recent, if it's that recent, I mean, I've recorded some stuff in Porto, but not in.
Yeah, and it was another of those situations. They have like the production courses. For students. And the next student of mine went to do that, and he had one day to record something for his final work. So good at English. For his final, for his grades. Yeah. And he called us, do you want to come and do it? Yeah, of course, let's do it. We didn't have any music prepared for that. But then he told me, well, look, but we have a Fazioli in the studio, that amazing piano, and I want to record it. So we called our friend João Salcedo, who is an amazing pianist, and would want to come with us. So we just rehearsed. We rehearsed one of our songs because the kid just needed one song. So let's do it in the morning. We record this song of ours with a piano, a new arrangement, and then let's just have fun for the whole afternoon. The guy just pressed record, and yeah, we had an album of like, I don't know, 40 minutes or an hour. I can't remember now, but it's a whole improvisation, and we release it as a beer bottle. Have you seen that?
As a beer bottle.
Because we had just released Extraordinary, which was a double vinyl, so we were really poor. We didn't have money to make a new vinyl, and we just had the idea. Okay, with Lovecraft, the beer place in Aveiro.
Yeah.
We just talked to them, and it's a beer bottle with a label made by Ricardo Miranda, our designer. Like a record, like you do for a record, and then you have an OB strip where you have the download code. So you drink a really heavy beer,
and then listen to.
By the end, the music is amazing because it's 9.5 of alcohol. So we tell everyone just drink it first and then listen after that. So that was that, and so it's not a Tolstoy record because it's a collaboration, but it's still us. And the Palingenesis was not supposed to happen. Like everything in our
everything beautiful is not
it's
not supposed to happen.
It was like we were going to do a new record now this year. We were supposed to do it during the winter, and we are planning, which means zero, because if we plan we will do it the opposite. We don't know. But the plan is to make a more written, rehearsed record, just for fun, just to do it differently. But it happened again in the same Arda Records, the same studios. Some kid needed a band that called him the day before they couldn't go. Do you want to come tomorrow? We'll go, let's go. And we had zero music really, and we just went, and then we have a record. Okay, done.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like that's the hardest thing, is to, especially if the chemistry between the musicians has to be at such a level that you can just talk to each other. I've tried doing this, I myself tried doing this multiple times, like get musicians together, let's jam, let's do this, and then it just falls apart, or then people don't want to do it, and I have this dictator brain, this authoritarian dictator brain, that if the music kind of strays to a direction that I don't like, I get very like anxious a little bit. But I'm retraining myself right now to be. But that's a thing that you get when you study composition. When you compose, your main thing. You micromanage everything. Everything's micromanaged, which is good to an extent. But before, I used to play in bands, and I guess when you just clear your mind, you can just ride the wave, and it's the hardest thing for, I guess, classical people to do, because like I'm technically a classical guy, but I play guitar. I like rock and stuff, but because I've focused so much on classical composition, by classical, like Western music, and it's genuinely hard, and it's incredible that you can just in 40 minutes, and just a session, you come up with that. Because I heard that you mentioned post rock, you mentioned that, like the Souk band so the I guess precursor to Tolstoy was a post-rock band, and I'm hearing
it's more rock and roll.
But you said post-rock.
I meant that about Tolstoy.
Tolstoy.
So my first idea before we even played together was, let's do something like post-rock.
Post-rock.
Kind of.
Because this latest album has a lot of post-rock. Very famous. PIL.
Yeah.
Public Image Limited with John Lydon.
John Lydon.
Yeah. It reminded me a little bit of it's not the music so far, but the vibe, the sound of it.
That's a good reference.
Yeah, but much darker, much darker. And I noticed like the I don't know if that's what you meant to do, or maybe you did. I that's one of the questions. Did you mean to have the sound that you did on that latest record? It's very it's almost like the sound of the guitar sounds like a beast almost. Like it's some. It's like a force, you know. It's nothing concrete, but it just gives this really angry kind of.
That's part of the magic, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
If I went in there with the idea of, okay, this is going to be a record, I don't think these would sound like that, because I would be afraid to mess up. I'll be totally honest. What happened with that studio, they have an amazing collection of amplifiers and instruments.
So you use theirs? I
use theirs. So I just took the guitar. Actually, now I'll make some advertisement. My new Montenegro Instruments baritone, which you have the one I play there. It's
okay, plug advertise.
I'll just plug it because the guy deserves it. He's a Hugo Montenegro. He's from Porto. A friend of mine. He worked as a luthier and he decided, okay. He had an idea. He wanted to make some instruments. We'll get back to the record. He wanted to build guitars, so he started for fun. He didn't want to build guitars as I'm going to be a big thing. No, he just made a guitar for him, which I love. The guitar, an amazing aesthetics, everything. Yeah. And we could go back to the Squire that I was talking about, because that Squire,
the bass six, sort of.
Okay, we'll get back to the record. This is a good topic.
we can divert. You know,
that Squire was unique because it was a baritone guitar with a 30-inch neck, so you can take the BA tuning. And Tolstoy was made around it, and it got serious. Suddenly we had a record, but that guitar is really cheap, and you just, if you play it without amplification, you feel like you're playing a toy guitar. So it's not really good. It was all the electronics. I changed the pickups, everything, but it was still a cheap guitar.
Yeah.
And it could be cheap in the price, but it could be good. But it's not very good, the guitar.
Yeah.
And then they started making it, and there was no other guitar like that on the market with a 30-inch. Or for that tuning. And one day Hugo told me, look, I want to start making this more seriously. What if I use you as my like those lab rats? I can try and make you a baritone. You just pay me for the material I use, and I'll test things with you. And I was like, sure, I have nothing. So can I ask things? Yeah. So one thing I asked him was a smaller scale with a smaller neck with the same tuning. So
smaller scale neck with the same tuning.
The same tuning. So we got, the final conclusion was 28.5 inches. Because for me, playing,
can't get the chords, like it's too.
It's very hard.
That's almost a bass, right?
Yeah, it's a small scale bass.
Small scale bass. Yeah.
So I was having a lot of fun, but I would end up just doing like riffs and not very. If I needed to make some harmony, and there's no bass, so I still have to keep that low note there. It was very hard for me to play. So that was one thing I asked him, and he managed. It plays beautifully. So so he's on the market. He now has beautiful guitars. If you want to search for Montenegro Instruments,
Hugo Montenegro.
But it's called Montenegro Instruments.
Montenegro Instruments.
Please
search it. I'll search it. Yeah.
Very good guitars.
Nice.
So and we did a lot of things. I was very annoying with him, and he was very annoying with him, because at the end of the day he's an artist. So we had that clash. Look, it was ridiculous. I asked him. I wanted to fit in a regular guitar bag. Yeah. Like in a mono. Yeah. But look, the design that it will be offset, whatever. I don't care. I want to travel with that. I won't take a bass, whatever. just man, it was like almost fighting, and it was really great at the end. And he's amazing. But what else? Okay. I was talking about the record. Sorry, about the recording. So I took that was the first thing I played with that guitar. Actually, I haven't done any concert before that. And well, they called us on the Sunday, and Monday morning we were there. So I was like, okay, we're just going to have fun. So I don't care about the sound. Let's just try whatever is there. So I just grabbed the Fender Deluxe Reverb, not an SVT, like an SVT 410 bass cabinet with a Selmer amplifier, which I Selmer, yeah,
with like the saxophone,
like the saxophones, yeah. Now
they make guitars. They used to make Django Reinhardt.
Really?
Yeah. Django Reinhardt's guitar is a Selmer.
Oh, no, that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense. And I could have grabbed because of course, because we don't have bass. When I'm playing melodies, Gabriel is using an octave on the saxophone, and
I heard that.
Yeah, you heard that. So I split my signal for a guitar amp, and now I do it digitally with simulations, but whatever. Guitar signal and bass signal with an octave. And I swear I put the amps there. I just volume. Okay, it's good. Let's go. I didn't touch a knob. Just because that's part of it. I didn't want to spend time like trying to get a sound let's see what happens. It's this.
Yeah.
But there you go. If you told me, if you were the record label manager who gives us millions to make records, I would feel the pressure. This has to sound maybe it would sound horrible. But that's how it happened. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Like, because on the record, it sounds like you're in such control of the instrument. But now you're telling me that all the equipment is theirs.
Oh, it's there, and it was in a separate room. So because we were playing the three on the same space.
Yeah.
So I didn't even have the feedback to nothing. Just
It's one of those magical moments.
Yeah.
I've noticed when you played your last show. I don't know if it was the last show, but
it was. We'll be playing again in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
But that was the last one. Let's go.
But the last show that you played here in Aveiro in Gretua, I was kind of looking at the pedals, like seeing what you guys are doing. That's
what guitarists do.
Yeah, and man, there's a city down there, like a city of pedals, and I noticed the saxophone player had pedals. I'm kind of this is one of the questions that I had is, I think you partially answered it as well, but you can maybe elaborate a little bit more about the relationship between electric instruments and acoustic instruments. Like, how did you get to a point where you sounded very cohesive on stage and cohesive at a consistent level? I know there's sound engineers that always treat that, but sometimes maybe you also have to have the expertise to understand how to get that cohesiveness, because when you study like orchestration, I guess from a classical composer point of view, you have to know that, you can't, for example, write, mezzo piano on a violin, and then right next to the violin you have a trumpet, and you write mezzo piano on the trumpet. Yeah. You can't expect them to have the same volume, The intensity maybe, but even the intensity, the sound of the intensity is completely different. So, a proper composer understands, like, if you want to have the same volume, you write maybe fortissimo on the violin and like maybe mezzo forte to forte on the trumpet. And that kind of relationship is essentially what orchestration is about, right? And when you include electric guitar into this, it becomes a little bit complicated because of just the sheer immense variety of equipment that exists on the market. And especially now that you have amp sims, and impulse response pedals and all these like multi effects that you just plug into the PA. And so acoustic drum set, baritone sax.
Baritone and
baritone and tenor. Yeah. Baritone and tenor, and baritone guitar.
Yeah.
How did you manage to find this cohesive sound?
I don't know. I'm really. I'm being very honest. We actually don't know how things happen.
It's understandable.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
For example, Gabriel. Of course, when I started, I had my equipment. Oh, our English is starting to go down now.
Yeah.
After 2 hours.
Yeah. No, it's only an hour and 19 minutes.
Okay.
So.
When it started out, the saxophone was just a saxophone. We were starting to see what was happening. I had a POG, Electroharmonics POG.
I know that one. Yeah.
Because I thought, okay, there's no bass. I'm the only harmonic instrument. Mm-hmm. Let's go play with octaves and whatever. So if you heard the beginning of the first concert, we have a video of that. You hear the POG all the time.
Yeah.
Because okay, I want to fill this up. And Gabriel was amazing because he had never used a pedal in his life. I've never seen anyone like this, because he started asking, look, what does a delay pedal do? What does a wow? Oh, and I would explain, okay. Then he would grab some borrowed from me and other friends, guitarist friends. And after like a week, we went to rehearse. It was completely in control of every effect, with the perfect mix, with the perfect everything.
Yeah. And
you see like the cables completely the wrong way, everything was wrong, but everything made sense. And he learned everything about it. So now
he got addicted.
He got addicted, and he doesn't
gas. You know what gas is?
I know what gas is. So you don't want to talk to him about that, because he will be his girlfriend won't like it.
Yeah, my girlfriend won't like it.
Who does?
Yeah.
And no, but the thing is, when he started experimenting with that, the sound just got much bigger. And I was like, okay, I don't need to be all the time filling up the space with the guitar.
Yeah.
And then I started to do the opposite. Okay, I'll just get to a raw rock and roll old school sound, or jazz, whatever, cleaner sound. And he was using those huge reverbs, like he bought a Strymon, a Blue Sky, of course, and suddenly everything was huge.
Except his wallet wasn't.
Except his wallet. No, of course not. And we were still playing with amplifiers. Me with it, and he was also going through an amplifier until he bought a Line 6 Helix.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah, our mutual friend Tiago Batista. Next episode, actually no, episode after next episode, I'm gonna interview him. He had a Line 6 as well. I saw him carry that thing around. It's and it's also very expensive. So
yes, but it's not the most. I have a Fractal Audio, which is even more expensive. Yeah, I know. But when I bought it, I was like, how can I buy this so expensive? I'm not going to buy it. And I bought it just for the purpose of I live in an apartment, so I can't record guitars. Okay, I bought it just for recording at home.
Yeah.
And I started playing live, and like, okay, I want to play with this live.
Yeah.
So we got to a point, and you saw that now we play me with modeling, and him and Gabriel with modeling too.
Yeah.
And we play with in-ear monitoring, and that's how we work. So we can play anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's, of course, when you can use an amplifier, we will do it, and we love it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when we play with amplifiers, sometimes things got really, really out of control.
Yeah.
Because if you know what you're going to play,
feedback and just
not only feedback, you get into it, and you start playing really loud, and everyone is playing loud. And then we were having a lot of fun, and we'd look at the audience and like, what's happening here? Not exactly a good loud. Okay?
Yeah.
And now we can play, as you heard, we can play really loud, but it's still musical.
Well, that's the beauty of like the modern equipment. The latest pedal that I got, I could show you later on, but the latest pedal that I got is the best. Like, I wish I had it. I wish this was a thing when I was younger, and it's an impulse response pedal. The Boss IR2.
Yeah,
I have it.
Really?
It's so awesome. I love it so much. It's so convenient. That's the only pedal you need now. You just put it in. It's this big. This is big. No. You just like I recently visited Kuwait, right? and I took like 3 pedals, but that's 2 more than you need. You know, I just took the Boss IR2, a Boss OS2, which is a overdrive or distortion. Actually, most of my pedals are Boss, and the PS6, which is Octaver. No, it's a harmonizer pedal, harmonist pedal.
The Boss 2, right?
Boss, Boss PS6.
Pitch shifter,
yeah, it's incredible. It's
but they are it's the IR has the amplifier simulation, right?
Yeah, like you have ascend and return, so you can put effects chain, you know, to maneuver, like it's for the preamp, and you can record in stereo. Like, it's who needs an amp anymore, you know? But it's still nothing beats it. Nothing beats it.
Yeah. And that guitar, that's a very guitarist discussion. I have a lot of arguments with my friends. Some of them are really old school, even people younger than we are.
Yeah.
Well, everyone is younger than we are, but that's another conversation. But
it's a dark topic. Yeah.
And people don't know the amplifier is the thing, and I go, that's not the point. Of course, playing with an amplifier, that's the real instrument. The electric guitar is not an instrument. The electric guitar with the amplifier is the instrument.
Yeah.
And if you give me the option to play with the amplifier on another room and I'm listening through this, if I have to, of course I will do it, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
But then if you tell me that my amplifier has to be in that room, I don't care if it's an amplifier or if it's a simulation, because it's still
coming out of the So it's the way the sound reacts with the acoustics, the environment. Of course. So all that,
playing in front of the amplifier, there's nothing like it. And you play differently. You have different ideas, because if it's feeding back,
you can use the feedback to your advantage.
You can use your feedback. If you won't play 12 notes, you just play 2 notes.
Yeah.
And whoa, this note is really good. I'll just hold on to this.
Yeah.
You have different ideas. You just play different.
Yeah. And that's another like challenge. It's like, how do you even encapsulate all that? It's like the universe is just ever expanding, you know? Like, how do you even encapsulate that to be approachable for just composers who want to, like, I like the electric guitar, let's see, you know? Like, how do you even begin to approach it?
There we go again. So you're a composer, and there's one part of the piece that you want guitar feedback.
Yeah.
And because you've read some new book that will come out someday, that a guitar needs a loud amplifier to feedback. But you have the rest of the orchestra, you can't have a loud amplifier. But now you know that there's a Digitech pedal called the Freak Out, which you press it and it will do a feedback.
Or you have it's a pickup.
The Fernandez Sustainer.
Sustainiac. I want to put one, but it's like you can't even find it online. You can, but you have to order it from America.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, it's hard to find, and plus installing it is it's not like a normal pickup. It has like chips and stuff. But I mean, there's all that, and you know, it. Yeah.
No, the thing is, those arguments I have with everyone about that analog versus digital, which tell that to a keyboard player. For 50 years, they've been playing MIDI.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those arguments at the end of the day kind of like get redundant a little bit, because for me personally, like I have 2 guitars, my main two main guitars that I play and that I even use for composition and I play them. I have a Ibanez Q54, which Ichika Nito is like a guitarist.
That name.
He's a Japanese YouTuber guitarist. He's a guitarist that makes YouTube videos. He's phenomenal. He's a very young guy. He's like maybe 20 or 21 or something. And it's a headless guitar. That headless Ibanez, right? That's the Q54. And I have a Stratocaster copy from Japan from the 80s that has like really thin frets, as a very like concave sort of neck radius, very vintage. And I noticed that the harder it is to play the instrument, the more I like it, because there's a level of challenge. Like it's not supposed to be easy. You know, you can't pick up a guitar and just you know, and you just pluck you just press down the fret and you already get a sound. That's like, I know the appeal to it.
Yeah.
I know the appeal of it, like tapping, and it's much easier. But sometimes I want an instrument to kind of, like, it's like a wild dog a little bit. You want to kind of tame it, you know, just kind of be able to play something on it. And then when you go to like a headless with like a flat radius with crazy pickups, you know, you can just, it's like butter, you know. So
but I can give you the opposite argument. For years I played, I'm a really heavy player. Heavy as I play really hard. I dig into it. And which is nice for some things, but for years I played with really heavy strings and heavy picks. And I would hit the guitar as hard as anyone could. And then I started realizing, and everything was on 10. Then I started, look, okay, I'm on 10. I want to play louder and heavier. Oh, I have a pedal. Okay, but then it didn't make it any stronger. Just smashing the sound. So okay, that's how do the big ones? Oh, they play it. The amp is louder, and then we play quieter. That's how you do it. And when I learned that, okay, so I can do that with everything. I can play with thinner picks. I can play with smaller strings.
Like nines.
Like nine. I'm going back to nines. I used to play 1252 with 1.5 picks.
Oh my god!
Like funk rock. It's completely stupid. Until one day I broke two strings at the same time in front of 5,000 people. It was embarrassing. so that's just you get to think like, okay, if Stevie Ray Vaughan plays with 13, I can do it too. But he would tune down.
You've seen his fingers?
Yeah, I've seen his fingers. I've seen he tuned down, and he was Stevie Ray Vaughan. So, so I started to change. Okay, let me try to have the same sound, but playing lighter. And that's the path I'm in right now. I'm starting to try. Like 2 weeks ago, I went back to 9. With another guitar.
You're talking about normal 25-inch scale, yeah?
No, normal guitar, like a Strat.
Okay.
And let's see if I can. Well, it helps that I have Epic condylitis now, so
oh my god,
okay, that's part of it. But it will get better. And I was like, let me see if I can tell the difference. So I started playing with the 9. It's like, I'm playing guitar the same. Okay, so I can play softer, and when I go back to hitting hard, it will really come.
I suggest, you know what, you should get 10 to 52s. They're the best apps.
I know.
You've tried them?
1052 the strings? Yeah, I've done it for years. But I want to go back to lighter strings. Okay. Maybe in a year I'll be back to, but now I'm on that. I'm trying it.
Because I play like my guitars. Most of them are tuned. Actually, like the main tuning I use is a drop C. I play on drop C. It's not the so much the power chords. I don't play power chords, but I like to get it's the 9th, you know. When you you just do that, you get a 9th on it, and you can play really nice sort of thick jazzy chords that really fill up the space. And so imagine drop C, so everything it's basically like the last string, the first string tuned A to C, so major third down, right? So not E to C.
The 5th string. No, sorry.
The
E to C.
E to C. So E A D, G B E, right?
E to C.
No. So E, the bass string, usually standard tuning is E. You tune it down to a C. That's a major third down. So when you put 10 to 52s on that kind of guitar, on that kind of tuning, you get like the perfect combination of hardness of this thick string that you can really smack, but the upper strings are very, very they're like buttery, you know, you can do bends, anything. So that's like kind of
I did that for years actually. But then I just
want to change.
Just for change. As I told you in the beginning, I get bored really easily.
You should start playing the oud.
Yeah, when I start getting good at it, I'll just.
I mean, look, you were in a band called Souk.
Yeah.
Just play the,
Now you got me into something.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, there's this oud player that I've contacted, and I would really like to do a podcast with him. His name is Amin Mraihi,
Okay.
and he's a Tunisian oud player who plays this weird. It's not. It's a oud, but it's not a oud. It looks, plays, and it's constructed just like an electric guitar. And a oud, right? A oud is an Arabic instrument, so it's a lute. Technically, the lute is a European oud, because the oud is older, right? Yeah. And the oud is tuned. So it typically has 11 strings. The lowest string is singular.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the drone string.
But not that one. Yeah.
Sorry.
That one too.
Which one?
The one you have there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it has 11 strings. Yeah. So 6 courses. The first course is singular, and the rest of the 5 courses are double, right? Double in unison. And the tuning is typically, so you have 2 Arabic tunings. It's C F A D G C F. C F A D G C, right? Which is the low Arabic tuning. And then you have the high Arabic tuning, which was popularized more in Iraq. And it's F A D G C F, right?
Okay.
So you have the Fa or FF and the Do or CC.
Yeah.
And depending on what you want to play, like whether rhythm or you want to be virtuosic. I can talk about oud like all day, but Amin Mraihi, he plays in like, I don't want to talk too much about it.
Go on.
But
I want to learn.
Yeah, incredible. There's a band called Nomad Spirits. I like them a lot. I don't, if they ever see this podcast, I hope they don't like find it weird that I'm a big fan of him, But he plays. Imagine an electric guitar, but there's the scale length of a oud. And it's not. There are no courses on it, so it's like single strings, but it's fretless. And but the way he plays it like a oud, except it's not really like a oud because I don't think he plays with a
that pick.
With the riche, with a proper pick. He plays with a guitar pick, and it's like this wild sound that is perfectly sharqi. It's like a Middle Eastern sound. He plays maqamat, like the Arabic modes on it, and microtones, but then in his band Nomad Spirits he plays these perfect like jazzy harmonies on that instrument, and
which is fretless.
It's fretless. It's just the wildest thing. Nomad Spirits, highly recommend you check it out.
But now you got me curious. What do you mean, like, okay, he's playing a different instrument, it's not a wood?
So I don't know what to call it. It is technically a oud, but
electric,
but there are electric ouds.
Yeah, but it's not double strings, right?
So it's not double strings. They're made out of steel, and it's basically more akin to a short scale fretless guitar. Okay, that's a more accurate way of.
I have to listen to it because I can see what it sounds like. A guitar, like a guitar or like a wood. That's my.
It sounds like an electric guitar.
Because it's an electric guitar, so.
But the way he approaches it, because he's a oud player, he makes it into a oud. If that makes sense.
Makes it. That reminds me. It's a good example. A few years ago, like 10 years ago, maybe. The only time I saw Prince live, it was in Portugal, and it was Prince, of course. Yeah. And then he invited Ana Moura, the fado singer from Portugal, for 2 or 3 songs, and it was really weird because she was singing fado, and he was behind her trying to mimic the Portuguese guitar with the electric guitar.
Yeah, he's trying to be Carlos Paredes, but it doesn't.
But the thing, he doesn't have the language. That it was not the problem with the sound.
Exactly.
So if he plays electric, whatever, the electric wood, it sounds like an electric guitar because it actually is an electric guitar. Yeah. But it sounds like the language is there.
Yeah. Like there's a term for that. So like. Because I'm doing PhD, a professor here, Gilvano Dalagna, I think I pronounced the name, but Professor Gilvano, he recommended this book by James Gibson, I think it's his name, James Gibson. The ecological approach to visual perception.
Okay.
And there's a chapter about a concept called affordance, which he came up with this concept about how things essentially they have their meaning because the environment or the animal or we, right, give that thing the meaning, right? So like, you know, if I were to take I don't know, I actually can't, like, okay, imagine I take an electronic cigarette, right, to a society that doesn't know what it is, and they start using it as a, I don't know, as a door stomp, like a thing to keep the door open.
Yeah.
To them, it's no longer an electronic cigarette. So that is an affordance. So the affordance of that object changes based on the interaction.
Yeah.
Same thing with, like, you know, I mean, Mraihi and his like approach to the, I guess, short scale electric guitar, which or fretless electric guitar, but then technically it's a oud, depending on who's interacting with it. And just like, you know, Prince trying to kind of, you know, play like Carlos Paredes, it's not that, you know what I mean? He can't do it. But if Carlos Paredes played Prince's guitar,
it would sound, that's the thing. Yeah.
You understand? So there is that, and that's the kind of
and Prince would play the blues on the Portuguese guitar. Probably.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the tricky part of, like, we're going back to, like, my whole thing is the bringing the electric guitar into classical music, which is to not lose the affordance of the electric guitar given to it by its history, by the people, you know, like what turned it into this instrument, you know, that you know we know and love today. So and it's pretty.
But it doesn't have to sound like an electric guitar. But if then what's the point?
Exactly. Yeah. It's an electric guitar, you know. So and it's interesting. You mentioned Enrique Portugues. I would like to actually talk to him.
It would be great.
Because there's so, like, he's the guy. He's the guy. He gave a lecture about to us. He talked to us about his his PhD project, and I think he might be, like, a little bit, like, genius, you know, but something's wrong, like, not wrong, but something is different about the way his brain is wired, because you talked about how the saxophone player of Tolstoy didn't know anything about pedals. Enrique Portugues also talked about the same problem, is that he would have composers write pieces for him where the composer would say, hey, use this pedal, you know, and he didn't know anything about it. So then he started approaching this whole world of effects, right? And obviously I'm saying this very, very superficially, because I didn't I can't recall at the top of my head, but he essentially created a modification for the saxophone in which you can access certain effects, and just he had like a cage, like almost like a cage for the saxophone, where he had knobs on it to control certain elements, right? It is the most wild thing. It's so out there, and it's so incredible, you know. One
thing, Gabriel uses it. I wish I could remember the name of. It's a French saxophone player. I can't remember his name now. He uses one thing called Intermic. Have you heard of that? It's a microphone specifically for. It's a piezo that you put on the mouthpiece.
On the mouthpiece?
Yeah. So you have to drill it, and I don't think you have to drill it. I can't remember. No.
Does it go into the reed?
That's a good question. Well, now you have to interview Gabriel. But I can't remember how it works. But what happens is, when you start playing with electronics and effects and amplifiers, he was playing for a normal microphone, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
trash going in, of course, a lot of noise. So the intro mic is amazing, and then feedbacks and whatever
Yeah.
out of control. And then the intro mic is it's just a piezo that translates in. It's like a guitar pickup. No, it's not even a guitar pick, like a piezo actually.
It's a piezo.
It's a piezo, yeah. So it goes straight into the input of the pedal board,
Oh my god.
which is amazing because you still have, of course, you don't have the acoustic sound of the saxophone that with a good microphone, with a classic microphone. But you would never have it because we're still a rock band. We still play like a rock band, so it would be so loud. That's another point. Of course, the saxophone acoustically, it's that sound. It's you have to.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, and you have to have a good microphone and a good preamp, whatever. But if you're playing and all the dynamics, everything, but if you play that way with the loud drum, big drums, and the electric guitar, the sound engineer will have to cut a lot of frequencies. Because there's no other way. So let's just cut those frequencies right at the beginning, and it sounds amazing. So it's a very good. Anyone, the horn players, flute players, intro mic. Search for it. Yeah.
Well, Jorge, what else do we have to talk about?
I have more. 10 hours.
10 hours.
Let's go.
Yeah, we'll go for maybe another like couple of minutes.
Yeah, let's go.
We'll wrap it up. But yeah, you know, I'm kind of so one of the outputs of my PhD project is to create a repertoire for electric guitar, right? A repertoire, and because electric guitar, like you talked about playing a baritone, right? The baritone electric, that's a whole instrument in itself, you know. I was like saying the baritone saxophone is the same as an alto, you know, which yes, but also no, you know. So like
you play the same positions, basically.
Same, yeah, exactly. And
I have a good story on that, but we'll get.
Oh, I forgot to ask you, why don't you play extended range guitars, like 7-string, 8 strings?
Good question. I just wanted a bigger instrument.
Just a longer thing.
Just longer thing. I've tried 7-string instruments back in the day, like the Ibanez Universe in the 90s. And it was fun, but then the whole new metal thing came out, Korn, and it was just became a thing. Everyone had a 7-string guitar. I was like, no, I'll just stick to the 6 strings. And I want to and it's another string. I don't want another string. I want to play like a guitar. So that's one thing.
So if a composer were to give you, like, tell you, okay, I have a piece that I want you to play, but it's on 7-string guitar, would you tell him like, go fuck yourself, you know?
No, that would be another excuse to buy a new guitar.
Yeah,
look,
that's just
sorry, honey. The composer just
exactly. Yeah,
it's a composer. He's the boss.
It's an investment. It's not. We're not wasting money. You know,
he's paying me.
Yeah, exactly.
So he can go on holidays. No, the money is for the guitar. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have a guitar collection, and one of the things that I want to do is like write a repertoire for electric guitar, but various electric guitars in various musical environments. And this essentially, imagine like, you know, a guitar with a Stratocaster type guitar with three like SSS pickup a configuration with a string quartet or with whatever, because SSS with a string quartet is different than an HSH or SSH
or HSS
or HH or whatever, you know. So and for that I would need to create sort of a sample repertoire for as many guitars possible to essentially, the pieces are experiments, right, to figure out how things sound together. And I'm going to order an 8-string guitar. I know.
Of course you are.
Yeah, of course I am. Why wouldn't I? Because, I mean, because like I also need to know how the thing works, I'm just justifying it right now, justifying the future purpose, but purchase. But
You don't need to explain to me.
exactly, I need to know how the 8-string works because I've never played an 8-string. I've only like played one time. Like,
Try it once, yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. It's a different instrument. It's a whole other instrument. And then you put a different tuning on it,
Yeah.
and it's not even a guitar anymore. You know, so yeah, that's why I'm buying an 8-string. But it's
And-
you know.
And another thing is, one of the reasons I always try to do the opposite of
Yeah.
what everyone else is doing. That's just my.
Yeah.
So if everyone is going to a string guitar,
Yeah.
okay, I'll just wait like 10 years.
Yeah,
until it goes out of fashion, and then I'll do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, when I was when I was a kid coming up, like you know, starting to play guitar in the scene in Kuwait, because in Kuwait there was a scene, you know.
Love
I mean,
to hear it.
Yeah, it was super underground. It's like kind of you find gigs, and it's not like here you can find a gig anyway here.
Well, it used to be much better here.
It used to be better.
Back when I was a kid, we would play anywhere.
Yeah, but
You wouldn't even know Aveiro in the 90s. There was like 15 places to, like
Yeah.
clubs to play. Yeah.
yeah, but you know, in Kuwait, it's like you find a place, you know, to play. It's about, you have to come up
Yeah.
with your own gigs, you know. And when I was coming up, to me, it was like Fender and Gibson. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
And all the guitars around me, like we had like maybe 2 guitar stores in Kuwait, and all the guitars were terrible. I mean, they still are pretty terrible. Like, not terrible. Like, the manufacturing has gotten much better now over the years, but back then it was really bad. Like, you know, the fret buzz.
But what guitars? Made in Kuwait? No.
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 Like
foreign,
outside, yeah,
Okay.
like China,
Yeah.
maybe a lot of the stuff in China, Indonesia.
Yeah.
Now now Indonesian guitars are much better. They're much better now, right? So back in the day, for me, it was like Fender or Gibson, and everyone was like Ibanez, Jackson. Ugh, disgusting, you know. It's so
My
disgusting.
first electric guitar was an Ibanez RG, of course.
For me,
in
my
1990
first electric guitar was an Ibanez as well. I don't think it was an RG, but it looked like an
Yeah.
RG, you know. And it was like I had that flame, and I hate that. Till this day,
Just black. Just black.
just black or
Yeah.
red or white or just one color, monotone, you know, or grain, like, but you know, wood, you know, not that
Yeah.
purple bullshit, you know. No. So like, I don't like that. It's like Hot Wheels, you know, the Hot Wheels
yeah.
toys. Yeah,
Like a saxophone player doesn't have a choice.
yeah, but
It's brass.
it's distinguished. Still, you look
Yeah.
at it, it's distinguished. It's like a suit, you know. Like, you
There
come
you
out
go.
with a fucking purple green bullshit, you know. They're not gonna take you seriously, you know. So, and me coming up, and I wasn't the only one who thought that way. A lot of people, like, no, you gotta get the Gibson Black Beauty Fender 1959 fucking you know, Stratocaster, and now everyone in the modern guitar scene, you know, like we have Tosin Abasi, he started off with Ibanez.
Right, yeah.
You have like Tim Henson from Polyphia. You have even Ichika. Everyone, Ibanez, and now Ibanez is what
But-
Fender and Gibson was to us, you know.
But what years are you talking about? Because
So
there are different
for me-
generations. Yeah.
no. For me, this was like, keep in mind, this is also Kuwait, you know.
Yeah, but
so
still.
in Kuwait, we don't have Fenders or Gibsons. Like, you can't find them
Okay.
over there, right? So I started playing in 2012, I think.
That's another generation.
It's
So,
a different
yeah.
generation, but
'Cause-
it's Kuwait. There's a difference. Kuwait, like, you
but-
can't find anything.
But when I started, I'm talking early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was Gibson and Fender, but that was for the big guys.
Yeah.
Now a kid can have a Fender,
Yeah,
but no one had a Fender.
Yeah.
Only the big famous guys.
yeah.
And the cheaper guitars, but good, were the Ibanez. And remember that in 92, 93, 91, it was Steve Vai and Joe Satriani.
Yeah, those were the only guys. Yeah,
But those were playing Ibanez.
yeah,
So,
but they're the only guys.
yeah, maybe John Petrucci later, but
Yeah,
but the thing is that they were very famous.
yeah, they were famous. Yeah.
So that actually I didn't want. I liked those guys. I loved those guys, but that was not my thing. I wanted
Yeah.
There was a really cheap imitation of a Gibson Les Paul in the store when I had lessons. For me, it was a Jimmy Page guitar. I wanted that guitar.
Yeah.
But then my father, who knew what it was about, knew that was a shitty guitar. And then he bought me the Ibanez. I didn't choose it, and I love the guitar now. It's it's my first guitar. But those Ibanez in the 90s were really big. Then it went down because fashion. Fashion. But now it's back with all those prog and kids.
I think maybe like if we're talking 90s, Ibanez was big, but then maybe it went so out of fashion that you had people like me and my friends who were like, Fender, man.
Me too,
yeah. Of course. And the market, the electric guitar market in Kuwait is just horrendous. Like there's nothing there. You can't buy anything, you know. And everyone was also, you also had like, they were just started the multi-effects pedals, you know, like I don't know, maybe if they just but at least in Kuwait you just started seeing them, you know. And I hated them so much. They suck. They were the most artificial sound ever. I'm like, give me a tube amp, you know, 59 whatever deluxe reverb, all that stuff, give me that. And now I am back to playing Ibanez with an impulse response pedal
because it works now.
Yeah, it works.
It's different.
It's much different. You can't tell the difference now.
No, when you hear it, you can tell the difference. The thing, I went through it all because there you go again. In the 90s, who had only the professionals had a valve amp.
Yeah.
We were kids. When I was 15, my first band, I had a PV Bandit.
Oh wow. That's still a good amp.
Which now is great. Everyone,
great.
At the time, I thought it was horrible because I didn't know what to do with it. And now, Queens of the Stone Age, use it. And it's cool. Oh, I can use it again. So, but that was in my. I had never tried a tube amp.
Yeah.
There was no tube amp. I didn't have a friend who had a tube amp, and that was my amplifier. So I just had to do whatever I had to do with that.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was listening to the records. I liked it. This is not the sound I hear on the records. Yeah. Okay, it's not only the hands. The hands I was not Jimmy Page, but this is not the sound. How do I do it? And I would try to approximate. And then there was the Zoom.
Oh yes,
remember the Zoom? That one. The 9002.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Which had a lot of effects, and a friend of mine had one, so I could plug it to the. I remember one concert. I just wanted delays for the solos, so I plugged it to the PV, and I would have a friend behind the amp just press that button for delay when the solos would come in, and I loved it. And then when I got my first real tube, then I bought the JMP one by Marshall, the preamp.
Oh yeah.
The rack mount. That was my first. Okay, this sounds. This is a good sound. And then when I tried the tube amp and I bought one, okay, now I'm a proper player. So.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Gear is so important. It's like such a. I wish it was like it's also tied to like capitalism in a way. Like it's tied to the market and all. That's a conversation.
Oh yeah.
Different conversation, but
I can't open YouTube. Oh no, I have to run away from this because there's a new thing every day.
Yeah.
You can't just keep up with it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's consumerism and it's insane. But when I was 14 or 15, if I had what these kids have now, like, wow, they have everything. So it's cheap for anyone can play.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm glad that I went through it all because. And I see that with my students. How does a 13-year-old boy, kid, look at? He's got the amplifier. He has 10 choices from Fender Simulation to Mesa Boogie, triple rectifier, whatever.
Marshall Plexi.
How does he know what that means? I have to explain to them.
Yeah.
And how do you get into his head and say, look, this is modeled after this old amplifier? And he goes, why do I need to know that?
They don't understand the status of the thing that they're emulating.
Yeah.
Just the level of it, Like to get a Marshall Plexi, it's insane.
What is it?
Yeah, what it is.
What is it?
How it feels, like how it makes the room vibrate and like, even just the look of it, everything, Now it's just like...
And not only that, what was your sound? Your sound was your hands with that one amplifier that you had.
Yeah.
That's I played with the PV because that's the amplifier that my father bought me from a friend.
Yeah.
So if he gave me a Fender Twin Reverb, I would do it differently. If he gave me a Marshall, I would do it differently. So
that's why I have like not a beef, but I avoid these multi-effects pedals, right? I avoid them because there is a level of having a tangible thing that you can say that it's part of your instrument that you click, right? And because before, for the longest time, I used to use amp sims on the laptop or on the computer, right? GTR Stomp or Guitar Rig or something. And they sound really good, but you can't get the same sound twice. I mean, you can get the same sound, but also loading it in Reaper or Logic or whatever every single time, like get this, put the settings. That way, with the pedals, you have a tangible instrument that you've set up. So that I think is of immense value, and I hope that doesn't go away. I hope it doesn't completely go all digital.
It won't. It won't go all digital. Because you can see it's a huge market.
It's a huge market. People value it.
People value it.
I just hope that the new generation still values it. The younger 15 to the 15, 13 year olds.
They're on YouTube, following the guys who like the pedal shows and whatever. They'll go on.
You think so?
I think so. I think so. And but there's another whole conversation for a lot of hours, because I bought my first multi-effects. I was completely against multi-effects, like you are, and I had all my pedals, and then about 2003, I think, the Vox Tone Lab came out, which was actually made by Korg. But so that's how guitarists work. If it said Korg, I wouldn't buy it, but it was Vox.
It's a Vox.
It's a Vox.
You got it.
And the expression pedals were like the Vox wah-wah. So
I have one.
And it had a valve.
Yeah. Vox.
It's a valve. And then what does the valve do? That's just smarting. They say, this is not a preamp. This is like the preamp is digital, but then this is like a mini power amp which gives that warmth, blah blah blah. And that makes sense. I will buy this thing. And the user interface was very straightforward. You had like 4 pedals, and you switch, and the buttons are there. So I bought it for convenience, but it's like, but it's a Vox. Okay, and it's really
not a line 6.
It's not a line 6. Yeah, I'll get to line 6 also. We can talk about that, because 1 year later I bought a line 6. We'll get to there, because I was completely analog. Valve amps, everything, not one digital panel. And when I made that transition, it was only for convenience, and it was like, I don't want to have I don't want it to work like a multi whatever. I want to do it the same that I was doing with the pedals. Because I was always annoyed by the noises and the cables. And I want one simple thing that works, and it was still going to the valve amp, so to the tube amp. So for me, it didn't make any difference. I just use it like a regular pedal board. And it's very important. Well, we're not going to teach the guys who will make those things. They know it. And it's very important, if you're like an old school guitarist like me and millions of others, it's very important that it doesn't look like a laptop. That's not guitar. Okay,
but that's the thing where that's what scares me. The very first video I've seen where you can clearly see that there's a tectonic shift in the guitar world, it is Tosin Abasi playing "Wave of Babies." It's a song, right? And it was the weirdest thing, and he released it in 2009 or something, and he had this video, and it's very strange. He's a dude, like wearing a fedora, a tight clothes, right? Very, a suit, like, has a. He's on one of those stools, one of those bar stools. He's playing a 8-string monstrosity over a backing track. He's playing over a backing track, and then there's a laptop there. And everyone was like, whoa. And it is insane. He is, in my opinion, the best guitarist like today alive. Like Tosin Abasi, he's my favorite.
Okay.
But still, you watch this and you're like, there is something that I don't like because it's going too virtual. Do you understand?
Completely.
Like, and he does play gigs. That's the thing. He plays live gigs, but people are becoming more okay with backing tracks.
Yeah, and that's and years ago, everyone thought that guitar was dead.
Yeah.
Because rock was completely out of fashion.
Yeah.
And everyone assumed guitar is over. Yeah. And then
there's a renaissance now.
It started actually with what's the name of the game, the video game?
Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
I was teaching. I teach since for a lot of years, and I saw all the changes with the kids, and there was suddenly the kids. I would have students because their parents would put them on. Kids like 10. So what do you listen to? Oh, there's no guitar in there. Oh, I don't listen to guitar. Okay, let's just try to do something with this. Yeah. But you'll get there. And then suddenly I started seeing kids coming with into
White Stripes
and AC/DC and Guns N' Roses and Metallica. How do you know this? Some were like, oh, my parents listen to this. Oh, this is from the video game.
Guitar Hero. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And now those kids have bands.
They're
playing, okay, and they're musicians.
Yeah.
So guitar came back with that, and then with the YouTube and Instagram phenomenon, it's huge. But where is the rock? When I say rock, I'm not
not the sound. It's
not the sound and not the style of music. The
feel.
The feel. Where's the thing with playing?
The vulgarity.
The vulgarity. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Where is it? Everything is perfect. Everything
is perfect. I don't like it. Sometimes I try to explain to some people here that like animals as leaders, I like them, but I like them because the creativity. But there's some bands like Periphery and
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Yeah. I don't get it either. Like some of them, like there's one band that which is one album from a Contortionist. It's a band called The Contortionist. They have an album called Language, and it's very good, but like, does it have to be so clean? It just doesn't touch me when it's clean. I want some Jimmy Page, some dirty, because it's vulgar. Like the whole sound. The story of how the distortion became a thing.
Right? What I mean, like
how they got like a distorted guitar tone.
Like from
from piercing
the speakers.
Piercing. Like that's a violent action. You know.
Yeah.
So,
but okay, let's go there. The point is it the technology? Because what I feel, see if you're with me on this. You see these new artists, and we feel that sterile, right?
Yeah,
sterile. Oh, because they're playing with plugins or digital. But then you go see live old school bands that are playing with that. I saw Devin Townsend, I saw Def Leppard, they're playing with Fractal. There's not one amplifier on stage, and they rock like old school rock. Mm-hmm. So why? Because they started playing the old school way, and then this is more convenient to play with this. We play with the in-ear monitor, so it's great. We play but they play the same way.
Yeah,
because they were brought up with the real thing.
Yeah.
So if you start where we are now, how do you know how they never played an amplifier, a loud amplifier?
Yeah. Also, there's a thing with recording styles, the way people record. And when I record demos or songs, I like to record long takes. I like that a lot because there's a Jack White and how his philosophy. He records on tape still to this day. He records.
He has actually he has in his studio. He has a
vinyl press. Yeah. I know. but he records with old technology, so you have to like practice before. Now, like I've had recording sessions where you just like play this one tiny thing over and over until it's like perfect. I'm like, man, just leave. Okay, you're sloppy. Just leave it in. You know?
Yeah.
It's like it's okay. It's
or,
fine.
Or the other way around. I had a recording session for a pop record years ago, and I was listening to the song for the first time, and immediately having ideas in recording. So when I got a good idea, okay, I'll start recording, and I would make mistakes because I couldn't play it very well. But I had played it well, like 4 measures, 4 bars ago. And I was, I made a mistake. It's enough.
Copy paste.
It's done. Don't worry. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But I listened to the record once.
I look. I get it for demo purposes. You want to do a demo, but in real life, like maybe I don't like it. I don't know. There's something about it that kind of makes it feel fake almost.
And that's and they can explain the death. Well, it's not the death; it's still there. But rock, when people say rock is dead, it's not because it's out of fashion. Because
the intensity is dead.
Yeah,
it's not. Like there's also like a lifestyle thing about it. It's like rock and roll is supposed to be forbidden. Have
you seen that meme that's like rock stars in '87, and you have like Slash,
the
Slash bottle of Jack rock stars in 2020,
like a laptop, Pro Tools and shit. That's it. It's what it is. Like growing up in Kuwait, there was an element of, because music in Kuwait is not particularly seen in the same way as it is seen here. It's not that it's forbidden, but it's not seen as a what's the word,
like very important culturally.
It's not seen as important culturally, and it's not, at least Western music for the most part, and playing it is kind of hard, at least at the time it was hard. So when you do play it and you have certain crowds, like they exist everywhere, the kind of crowds that like do certain illegal things, and they're present when this music plays, and there's an aura of like, we're not supposed to be doing that, but we're doing that, like, I tell the stories like, I was actually like, I was drunk, like, and that aura feels like, that's what I feel like rock and roll is. You know what I mean? That's you have to feel it. It's not this, It's not.
That's what I meant a while ago when I said everything is rock, whatever if it's hip hop or jazz, or if it's done
NWA
that way,
is rock. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And then so rock is an attitude. It's not it's not a style of music or like 3 chords or 4 chords. I don't care about that.
That's the challenge for me, is like, that is one thing that gives the affordance gives the guitar its affordance. It's that too, It's this rudeness about it, which you don't find in classical music. Classical music is about not classical music, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, historically, it's prayer music. It's music for a higher purpose, or higher ideal, almost perfection.
Yeah, but like when you get to the 20th century.
No.
Okay.
Not talking about
classical, real classical.
Yeah, classical. Yeah. But not even like Renaissance, Baroque. Historically, it's about that, right?
Yeah.
And
it makes sense to be made that way.
Yeah, exactly. But
directly to
it still ties
divine,
in,
right?
Yeah, exactly. But it still ties into music today. Even like if you look at Arnold Schoenberg or Stockhausen, there's still an element of this high art thing. There's still an element of that, which is good for that. But if you take the electric guitar and you put it there, you need to do it in a very purposeful way. You cannot take the electric guitar and make it lose all of its grit and its rock and rollness and the thing. that makes it like a people's instrument,
And at the
part
same
of
time,
society.
and at the same time, the rest of the orchestra will follow. Or try. When I play with orchestras, what I feel is there's like a two-way conversation where they go, "Oh, how do you do that? How do you improvise? How do you just pick the instrument? How do you memorize the music?" And I'm like, "How do you play your instrument so perfectly?" So there's that envy, two-way envy. And I can figure out how they can just do whatever they wish to do on in the moment, like technically. And they can figure out how I can memorize even a Smoke on the Water riff, whatever, like the simplest thing. And if we start to, well, the electric guitar is already on that path because there's a lot of educated rock musicians. I mean, in the 60s, you didn't. Who was the first rock musician that was like, okay, maybe Robert Fripp? I don't know.
Robert Fripp?
No, he's not educated actually. No.
Oh, it was probably Jimi Hendrix.
No. I'm
you mean educated?
Educated in the sense of formal education.
I think Jimi Hendrix was like secretly.
Really?
Yeah, I think there was.
I thought he came from an R&B.
No, I think he was like secretly, like he knew music notation.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
but still not educated in the sense of, okay, it's like he could be a concerto player.
Yeah, well, Robert Fripp. Okay, so not David Gilmour.
Not David Gilmour, definitely. Not Frank Zappa because he was self-educated.
He later on started doing that.
So
Pierre Boulez and
yeah, but still he didn't have formal training. He learned it all by himself. So can you remember a famous rock musician that was formally trained like a classical musician? That's a good question. I'm sure there is.
Yeah, there is. There definitely is.
And I'm not talking like Eddie Van Halen was classical pianist. Well, maybe he's the closest. I don't know.
He was a pianist.
Yeah, but still classical. The point is, but he couldn't read actually. There's a good story that he told that he was having lessons for 5 years.
Yeah.
And he couldn't read, but he always fooled the teacher because he had the teacher who played and he memorized. And he tells that once the teacher was playing some piece and asked him to turn the page, and he didn't turn the page. The teacher was like, "Why didn't you? I can't read." After 5 years or something like that. And what was my point? My point was, how do you make that bridge between very well trained musician, performer, but still rock and roll. It exists.
It's there.
So,
Hey man, thank you for being here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. We could be talking for another 3 hours.
Let's do it again.
For sure. Yeah. Down the line for sure. Jorge Loura, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Man. Thank you. Thank you. All right, there we go.
Oh yeah.